All right, we are live everywhere again except Twitch, so I have to change the title. I'm going to change the title to Atheist Republic News because Twitch doesn't
Wait.
like our title. Hold on.
Do it news number 146.
News number 1. Wow, okay. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's see if Twitch accepts this new title to go live on Twitch as well. All right, we're live on Twitch as well right now. What the hell is... What was wrong with our title? What's okay? Susanna, can you read our title and tell us? Oh yeah, actually I see it now.
It's pretty obvious. You get 3 words in and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can we not talk about the people being choppy? Like, is that Twitch is like, yeah, you can't talk about that? Is that like, I don't understand. Yeah.
I guess
So,
so.
Rivka is coming in and out because she has connection issues. So I'm just gonna leave her down there, and then if her connection is fine, then I'm gonna let her in. Okay.
But first of all, well, I mean, it's kind of sad that we have to say this without her here.
Rivka, yeah.
It's her wireless connection being very anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
But happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Yes, happy Hanukkah, and we should have had Rivka here for that.
I know. Well, yeah, we can say it again when she's here.
Yeah, choppy. I'm gonna say choppy because I don't know what else to say, right? I don't know. Yeah. I'm not being dismissive, but this is like YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We're streaming live on all of. By the way, follow us on Twitch. Link in the description, and also subscribe to our newsletter because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy. Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free. It's not even promotion. It's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description. Cool. All right.
On Twitch, Suha is saying, as we say in the Masan, I mean, not in the Masan, audio's great. Thank you, Suha.
Thank you, Suha. All right.
Digital copy or physical, you get the PDF.
The PDF. What do you think? Do you think we have the resources to actually come on, ship how many people will
And also, it's not it probably isn't safe for a lot of people to have the physical copy. So
yeah,
PDF is better actually.
All right. So what are we doing today?
Oh wait, Fatma is saying, I downloaded this book yesterday. Thank you, Armin. It's amazing.
Thank you, Fatma.
Yeah.
You like the book?
Yeah. Hope you enjoy. Leave a review on Amazon.
Yes. Given that you got the copy of the book for free, if it's safe, please leave a review on Amazon saying that was great. Thank you for that.
You can always change your name to not your real name on the Amazon reviews too.
Yes. True. Wow, we have people from hello from Germany, hello from Vegas. Happy Hanukkah. Okay, this is Robin saying, I heard you said, oh God, oh, you caught me. I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist, and I said, oh God, you got me, not a real atheist. Oh no, you got me. Jesus. All right. Okay.
Our jihad is just starting.
Checkmate, atheist. Oh, this guy is just sending us love. Abdu. I think. Oh, I've seen Abdu. He doesn't like our art. I think on Facebook.
That's okay. You don't have to like it.
Can I quickly show our latest draft?
The halal version, yeah.
The halal version.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do that.
And then we'll get into the juicy news.
Then we get to the news. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look at this. Guys,
Mashallah.
this is Aisha on the right, Fatima on the left. Look how beautiful this art is, okay? And okay, so this is, here it says Aisha in Arabic. This is Fatima in Arabic. And at the top, it says Ba'da Muhammad, which means after Muhammad, after the Prophet, right? So this is right after Muhammad's death. And Aisha and Fatima could not wait for half a second before they did this. Like, as soon as he died, they were like, we were waiting. It's on. We were waiting for this. Like, they didn't even hesitate. They're like, finally, we get to be together. And Muhammad, by the way, Muhammad, before his death, he mentioned that because people were making fun of him, saying that as when he dies, they're going to go marry his wives. Muhammad made it illegal for people to marry his wives after he died, which is really mean, because a lot of women are at that time were completely, like, were left defenseless without a husband, right? But because he didn't want anybody to marry his wives, he said, when I die, none of my wives could remarry. And Aisha was like, I don't mind. I don't need a husband. I need Fatima. She's like, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. This is why she was such a badass after Muhammad's death. He was like, raised a battle. I mean, technically, Aisha raised a battle against Fatima's husband, but Fatima doesn't mind anyway. Fatima is like, yeah, screw that guy.
I have a feeling this person is cussing us out.
And okay, my Arabic is not good. Okay, Antum Majarrad Nas Hamri star E. Soha, translate for us.
Kowalski.
Deepak
Astonified is saying the only thing I don't like about that pic is that Fatima and Aisha aren't covering their hair properly, which is a bit immodest. I think you're joking, because obviously there's a lot more in this that is more immodest. But the whole point is that they are taking off their hijab.
Yeah, the whole point is that they're pulling it off. Jeez.
Layla Noor is saying, I was a Muslim 46 years and now I am free from Islam since October. Congratulations.
Wow, congratulations. That's beautiful.
Do you like our art?
Wait, one more time. Layla, do you like our art? Okay. Cool. All right. Hold on. How do I turn this off? All right, there we go.
From France. Hi.
One of our art pieces was dedicated to France by our artist.
Yes, everyone is congratulating Layla.
Wow, that's so sweet.
Subhanallah.
Subhana Iblis. All right.
Says, thank you, but I don't think she likes our art.
Aw, it's okay. Still, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, this person thinks that the art needs to belongs into a museum. Wait, does this mean Hussein doesn't get born? No, who's saying that? No, Hussein was already born by this point, because Muhammad saw his grandchildren before he died, so Hussein was already born.
Oh, wait. Someone is saying, please make the uncensored version. Also, you can see the uncensored version on our Patreon. So
yes, we're not going to lose any more accounts for the uncensored. No, yeah, you guys, we learn our lesson, and so many people are so ungrateful. Now the people who are actually paying for making this art happens, they get to see the art. Okay, the people who are actually making it possible for this art to happen. Okay, everyone wants to just take and take and take.
Oh, we have more congratulations to Layla. And then Layla is saying, thank you, and then feel ashamed. I think she's saying that she feels ashamed. You don't need to feel ashamed. I hope you enjoy our community here, because there's a lot of people who went through what you did. And if you find a community of other people who are awesome without Allah, that I think that will help you also feel awesome without Allah. So we
got a super chat already.
Oh my goodness. Someone is saying I have a cool room. Thank you. D Bordeaux is saying, I know my friends French is awful. $5. Thank you for the $5. Saying, can we do cartoons of these, quote, heroes like Mumtaz Qadri? I don't know what Mumtaz Qadri is. Do you?
Hold on. Mumtaz Qadri. And they need to be more. Oh, whoa. No. Wait, hold on. Oh, this is the assassin of Salman Taseer in Punjab. Oh no, yeah, the guy that was like celebrated as a hero.
Okay, yeah.
You mean so-called hero, I think.
Yeah, I think okay. That makes more sense. I don't know if most people
The governor. Yeah, most
that would
people
be
would
very
not know that.
identifiable.
We need to make art that people could know who it is. Guys, actually one thing, for example, let me tell you guys the way we're thinking about this, right? We're trying to figure out also how to blaspheme against Judaism, and we're finding it very difficult because Judaism doesn't have it. Either the people in the stories of Judaism are not like famous enough for people to recognize them in the art, and or Judaism doesn't have that many people that people will be like, oh, this is blasphemy, this is like, so I don't know, but
it just comes across as anti-Semitic.
Yeah, no, we don't want to be anti-Semitic. We just want to go after Judaism. One thing we were thinking about is Abraham, when he's trying to sacrifice his son, the angel that stops him. I know, Susanna, let me tell you why we didn't do that, okay? Comes in from behind, and like they're like the angel and Abraham are making out while Abraham is about to sacrifice his son, and he's like being kissed by the angel right before that moment that he sacrifices his son, because that's at least a scene in Judaism that everybody is familiar with, right? However, there's a child there, and we did like, this is not gonna go well, right? Like having a child in a scene where there's like making out going on, that's gonna be like an issue. So we felt like maybe not, right? But if you guys have any suggestion on how we could make art that is blasphemy against Judaism, again, not against Jewish people, okay? So if you have like some rabbis or anything in mind, like no, nothing like that. We want like holy figures. Like,
and I don't feel comfortable doing Mumtaz Qadri given that we know the children of Salman Taseer, I mean, and they're good people, and yeah. Oh, she's back. Yes. Happy Hanukkah, Rivka.
Happy Hanukkah.
You're muted.
You're muted, but that's okay.
It's a Hanukkah miracle. I made it work.
It is.
All right.
Okay, well, now that Rivka's back, should we get into the news?
Yes. Okay. Can I clap for the first news?
Oh, hello from Pakistan. Hi.
Oh yeah, we know you. We know a secular proton.
Oh yeah,
he's regular here. Yeah.
I don't think it's not good news.
Noah's Ark with furries.
I hate it.
You hate it? Maybe.
We've been trying to come up with Jewish ones, but a lot
that's
of people,
what I told them.
Yeah, you don't know who they are unless you're Jewish. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna. Okay, so let's get to the news. Okay, so no clapping.
I mean, it's not good news, but it is the first news, and so I feel like we should clap anyways.
First news.
Okay, first news. Teenager who beheaded French teachers given a hero's funeral in Chechnya. Recent footage shows mourners at the funeral of 18-year-old Abdullah Anzorov in his native village of Shalazi in Russia. Around 200 people attended the funeral in freezing conditions, with local news reporting that Azarov had been buried, quote-unquote, with honors. Video footage showed mourners chanting Allahu Akbar as they walked alongside his coffin. The video included the message, "The Lion of Islam has arrived to native soil today and returned to the soil. No one but Allah has strength and power," end quote. Azarov was shot dead by police while they were attempting to apprehend him for the murder of French civics teacher Samuel Paty. His body was returned from France on December 6th and carried through the village by mourners in the Urus Montanovsky district.
This is crazy. This is the funeral of the person that murdered Samuel Paty.
Yes. He was...
And these people are celebrating him.
Yeah.
The guy that beheaded... The guy that beheaded the teacher in France simply for showing a cartoon to the students while asking the students that if they're Muslim, they're allowed to leave the class so that they're not offended. That guy who was beheaded. Okay, so guys, when they tell you like, it's true that the vast majority of Muslims would never do such a thing. And it's true that this person was represents a fringe group of Muslims that would be able to be this violent. Okay. However, it's also true that while that his action gains the support and celebration of many Muslims. Okay, I'm not gonna say most. Okay, I'm not gonna say the majority, but I'm gonna say millions. Okay, it's safe to say millions and millions of Muslims, and that's a problem. Okay, and if you're a Muslim that is peaceful, that is not endorsing such behavior, you should not deny that the fact that this is not a big problem in the Muslim community. Okay, be honest and say, yes, I don't endorse this. I think this is violent, but we have a problem in the Muslim community. It's not a small problem. It's a huge problem. Like if you're a Muslim and you deny the fact that there are millions of Muslims in Pakistan, for example, right? In Saudi Arabia, in Bangladesh, that think the person that murdered Samuel Paty was in the right, and he's a hero, and he was martyred, and now he's in heaven. If you deny that that's a real thing, and that there are not millions of Muslims who agree with that, then you're either like trying to lie to people for the sake of Islam, for the sake of promoting Islam, and then therefore you're a scumbag, or you're just so out of touch with reality that you're also part of the problem. Even though you're a peaceful Muslim who doesn't encourage this, you're also part of the problem. That if you deny this reality. What do you guys think about this?
Rivka, you should go first.
Okay, sorry, I was still having connection problems. Well, first of all, so I don't understand why they even sent him back there. I guess maybe that's their protocol in France. So, I don't know. But yeah, I find it abhorrent. I find it really sad that there's people that are celebrating this murderer. I don't find it unusual that he would have people go to his funeral. I mean, his family or whatever. But the fact that they were chanting and calling him a lion of Islam and all these things, giving him this praise for this absolutely heinous behavior it's just reprehensible. And I agree with Armin, if that people are against this kind of thing, then they need to make it clear to the rest of the world that they're against this, that they condemn the murder of Samuel Paty, they condemn the folks that are holding him up as a hero, the reverence that people seem to have for these terrorists. All of that needs to be clearly condemned in a very loud voice by a vast majority of the public who are believers in Islam, because we're not hearing such a really vehement condemnation over and over and over again. We're hearing a lot of yes buts, or, you know, well, he shouldn't have done that, or, you know, France was wearing a short skirt kind of thing, you know. So, and I do believe that Armin's correct. I mean, you know, that the majority of Muslims, the majority of believers in the world aren't going to murder someone. But it needs to be made clear to everyone that they disavow this behavior. And so far, we haven't seen this, you know, large scale ummah disavowing of this type of actions.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, we saw numerous countries launch boycotts of French goods altogether because French President Emmanuel Macron said, no, we're not backing down. We're going to defend our Enlightenment values. And, you know, the conversation got very muddied. People were saying, oh, Macron is insulting Islam. He was like, no, he is defending the right to produce and display these cartoons, which is completely different. But what do you guys think about, because this is kind of, I don't know if this is an exclusively quote unquote woke argument, but there are many people who say, like, Muslims do not have to apologize for this. Muslims don't have to speak out against this because the majority are not people who undertake this. If you say that I just because I come from this group and someone else that comes from this group did this thing, and now I'm somehow seen as like responsible for it, and I have to apologize for it or condemn it every single time it happens, like, you're just promoting collective guilt. So what do you guys think about that argument?
I agree with that. I don't think that you are responsible for the actions of other Muslims just because you happen to be associated with them. I don't think, like, for example, it's a responsible, like, if an atheist does something wrong, you can't be like, oh, you're an atheist too, this atheist did something wrong, call it out, call it out, call it out. Like, why do I have to call it out? I mean, there's a look. Do I have to, like, make sure, like, what about people? Do I need to go call out every action by, like, what if somebody believed in free speech and I'm a free speech activist, and now somebody believes in free speech does something crazy? Do I need to be like, I have to go out and make sure, like, every time somebody, no, like, it's like, most Muslims, for example, especially if you're not even an activist, right? If you're a Muslim and you're just like not even an activist and you're just like going by, you're worrying about your career and you're just living your life, you like, I can't be like, hey, another Muslim did something wrong, call it out, call it out, call it out. Like, what the hell does that got to do me? Why do I have to call it out? Of course I'm gonna get, like, no. Okay, so what I was saying earlier was they shouldn't be excusing it, or if they're misinformed about how common such attitudes are, then they're delusional. Okay, but just because if they're aware of it and they don't decide not to call it out, maybe they're passionate about some other thing in the world. They're not just because you're Muslim, that doesn't mean you have to be passionate about calling out what other Muslims are doing in the world. What kind of a standard is that, right? That's ridiculous, right? But if you're not going out, the people who I'm calling out are Muslims who come and say, like, hey, this is not a big problem. Then no, shut the F up. This is a big problem. This is a huge problem. Don't lie, or if you're not lying, then you're extremely misinformed, and you're probably a problem. But if you're aware of it, if you know about it, and you decide, I'm not going to call it out because why am I being blamed for something I didn't do? Like, why do I have to call it out? Like, that's fair. I agree with that. But go. Rivka wants to say something.
Okay, so I have 2 points to make on this. So one, it's the responsibility, I believe, of the people who are speaking for Muslims in general, whether that be imams, Muslim groups, Muslim advocacy groups. Those people have taken on the role of speaking for Muslims, so they do have the responsibility of saying something about this, because they're in the news all the time, saying, you know, this isn't Islam, or Islamophobia, or pointing fingers. So they are already taking on this role. Number one. Number two, imams, that's part of their responsibility as being clergy, being part of the ummah, being people who are leading and helping to bring others into the fold of peaceful religion, or helping people not to become radicalized, whatever their role they see themselves with regard to their congregation, in terms of how they're going to make it known that they don't agree with this behavior and they're disavowing it. So that's one. Then two, yes, I don't think that every Muslim walking down the street has to stop whatever they're doing and get on, you know, social media, or stand on the street corner, or, you know, tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm a Muslim and I don't think this is right. No. But when I say they need to call it out and disavow it at large, I'm talking about the people that already are making statements publicly already. There's a vast number of people who are on Twitter, on Facebook, who are writing articles, who are doing radio shows or podcasts, who are standing, you know, in Free Speech Corner in England, who are doing all kinds of things, advocating, speaking, talking about Islam, talking about religion, talking about what they perceive Islam's role is, or how Muslims are treated, or this situation. So all of those people have already put themselves into the public sphere, have already made an acknowledgement about this issue. Those are the people I'm talking about. Your average person who hasn't bothered to make a statement about this, or doesn't have a radio show, or hasn't produced content on it, it's not their responsibility to disavow the actions of every single person. But there's also something to be said for trying to make it known within your community to other people how you feel about this, because what's happening is this radicalization in these communities. So if you're not willing to acknowledge it, to discuss it, or to even say anything about it, even amongst yourselves, it's only going to keep festering and metastasizing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more fair to hold key stakeholders and leaders more accountable to speak out against these things than just your like average everyday believer. Shaif Musa is saying, don't forget about the issue of Takia in Islam. Shaif, most Muslims don't even know what Takia is.
Yeah. It's not as big of a problem among average Muslims as you think it is. And like, even when Muslims who do know about it, their understanding of it is basically the honest. Okay, Islam has a lot of problems.
Takia is not one of them.
Takia is not really one of them. It's a tiny bit of a problem, and most of the time, even when I understand that it's more common in Shia Islam than Sunni Islam, but Sunni Islam also has versions of it. But it's basically like a white lie, right? Like if somebody's going to kill you and you have to say like, oh, I believe it's self-defense. It's not that big of a problem. People have exaggerated how big of an issue that is. I do want to also say that I agree with Rivka. However, the real responsibility of imams is to stop being imams and spreading poison and lies. Don't be an imam. Okay, but I know I'm just being pedantic.
But SM, thank you for the £2 super chat. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Rivka, yes.
Oh, I just want to address the Takia thing really quickly. So people talk about it amongst Islam, but it's actually something that almost everybody does on a wide scale. It's like preference falsification, right? So if you have a large group that it's socially acceptable to say one thing, or you know that maybe you could be in trouble, or somebody could hurt you, or you could lose your job, or whatever. A lot of people do this on a lot of levels. So I'm agreeing with Armin in the fact that if you're going to talk about the issues, it's pretty small, and it's something that a lot of groups do in a lot of ways, whether it's a political group, a religious group, a cultural or social group. People do this preference falsification thing all the time.
Yeah, and here we have an ex-Muslim saying, "What is Takia?"
Like, right. So there you go.
They don't even know what Takia is until they leave Islam. Like,
yeah, I didn't know. I learned about Takia after I left Islam, not while I was a Muslim. And I then
like someone who was using Takia would say.
I mean, technically, I think there was some reference to it somewhere in our class. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure most people have no.
Wait, sorry, Armin. Right on cue, we have Hindutva Power saying Atheist Republic defending Islam. We know the truth about Takia. Atheist Republic should change its name to Islamic Republic. So we are now doing Takia.
Yeah, we are, guys. This is beautiful. This is beautiful because this is exactly the example.
You are so predictable. You have no idea.
This is exactly the line of reasoning that you expect from Hindutva people. This is so stereotypical Hindutva. Everything, guys, for the people who don't know what Takia is, hold on, bring it back. This is like the reason why, if we think like the accusations of Takia, this is what we're responding to. Like, basically, the Hindutva or a lot of also anti-Muslim, not anti-Islam, but anti-Muslim bigots, everything they don't like is Takia. You know how, for example, for a lot of Muslims, everything they don't like, it must be Zionism, right? Or, right, for a lot of Hindutva and anti-Muslim bigots, everything they don't like is Takia. Takia. Everyone is doing Takia. But this is beautiful. This is so beautiful because this is like, you know, if you had to guess who would comment something like this here today, it would have been somebody with the username Hindutva Power.
Oh, of course. No, and it also means pillow in Urdu. So Hussein is saying, I use two takiyas when I sleep.
in Urdu actually means pillows. Pillows. Okay, that's good. All right. Hold on. Let's actually that's funny.
Deepak is qualified. I never seem to quite to find a good firm takiya.
Oh my god, I love that shit.
Nice one.
Yeah. All right, let me just read the top comments. The top comment in the news is saying, hopefully France learned their lesson and just stop letting anybody into their country. Oof. Nope. Nope. That's not the first of all. Okay. Not anybody into their country. You mean, okay, maybe they should have better screening criteria, more, look at the processes that they have. Oh, maybe actually that's what they mean. Stop letting anybody to. No, actually, maybe I agree with this. Okay, maybe I just have to read it properly. So maybe they're saying don't let everyone in your country. Maybe have like a screening criteria, but because I don't think this person is saying that just stop immigration as a whole, right? I'm just going to be charitable to this person. I'm going to say like don't just let anybody in your country. Like have a better screening criteria. In that way, if I read it that way, I can endorse this. Rivka wants to say something.
I'm not sure that this person, screening process, fine, but I'm not sure they understand truly the nature of some of the radicalization in France. This particular guy who murdered Samuel Paty happened to be from Chechnya, but a large number of the terrorists in previous
Rivka,
attacks.
can you not use that word, please?
Oh, sorry,
It's too late now. It's too late now, but it's okay.
Terry's
yes.
have in previous Terry attacks have been French citizens, second, third generation French citizens. So it's not a matter of letting people in. These people were born there. And that's the case in several other countries in Europe as well. So the question then becomes, what's happened between the first generation and the second and third generation that has led to this kind of radicalization? Because a lot of the parents wanted to come to Europe, wanted the freedom and the opportunities or whatever they saw, or escaping something from wherever their home country was. And now we have this gap in terms of extremism. Often the children seem to be more extreme than the parents. So that is an issue, in addition to some of the migrant issues that are happening.
I just want to remind you guys that if we use these words, even if we correct it later, it's already going to hit the algorithm anyway.
And it's, I'm sorry, it's my fault.
That's okay. But Susanna, go
on. Well, I agree and disagree with you, Rivka. Like, the homegrown is a huge problem, but in the three most recent, most widely internationally recognized cases of the beheading of Samuel Paty, shortly after, within the span of 2 weeks, there was a beheading and three people were murdered in the cathedral in Nice.
And that guy was from Tunisia, yeah.
And then 3 weeks prior, there was the guy from Pakistan who took a meat cleaver to two people who he assumed to work for Charlie Hebdo, and they didn't. All three of those assailants were refugees.
Right. And I said Terry previous, the larger previous Terrys, and a lot of the most attacks all over Europe.
Yeah.
Tended to be. So we have both issues going on, is the point. To your point that yes, these most recent ones were all from outside of France, coming in, immigrating in, or being migrants or refugees, versus a lot of the homegrown as well.
Yeah.
So we've got two problems. That's all.
Deborah is saying Terry is the new Karen.
Okay, Don is asking, what does a Chechen hero's funeral look like? Do we have anything to compare it to? How do we differentiate it from any other rural Chechen funeral? One might expect a turnout of around 200 from a village, or okay, maybe like shouting "Lion of Allah" and "Allah Akbar" and celebrating the person and calling him a hero. I think that's a big giveaway, right?
Literally lionizing them.
Yeah, literally.
Calling them a lion of Islam is a pretty good tell.
Yeah.
I think we should move to the next news.
Okay, this next news doesn't have good graphics, so I'm just.
But it's totally clappable, like extra super duper clappable.
It's the most clappable that we've had.
It's the most clappable.
I would say all year. It's the
okay. All right, good. I'm excited now. Next news.
I'm going to give it a bunch. Okay. Historic. The United States House of Representatives passes a resolution calling for, quote, the global repeal of blasphemy, heresy, and apostasy laws. So, on December 7th, 2020, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland's bipartisan House Resolution 512 calling for the global repeal of blasphemy, heresy, and apostasy laws was passed through the House of Representatives by an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote of 386 in favor with only 3 in opposition. Representative Jamie Raskin stated, quote, authoritarian regimes use arbitrary blasphemy, heresy, and apostasy laws to imprison, torture, and kill religious minorities. Today, the House called for an end to these egregious human rights violations worldwide. I'm gratified by this crucial victory, but our work continues to ensure that no one is imprisoned for his or her religious beliefs across the globe, end quote. House Resolution 512 was first introduced in July 2019 and passed through the House of Representatives with 42 co-sponsors. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma has introduced Senate Resolution 458, the Senate version of Congressman Raskin's resolution, although this Senate resolution is currently being blocked from being voted on.
All right. can you tell us what this does? Like, how does? Okay, so this is the United States taking a lead on this, right?
Yes.
And this is both Republican and Democrats agreeing in this. Like, there is no. This is completely bipartisan. This is too good of a news to be true.
What?
No, I mean, I'm just like, I mean, politicians doing something. Okay, it just seems like from La La Land. It's good. Okay, but and how does this look in practice? Like, how does it? Wait, Rivka, let me actually clarify before I want to understand, what does this do? Like, how does this work?
So the United States is going to prioritize. They're going to prioritize the repealing of these laws in 84 countries around the world. 1/3 of the world's countries has blasphemy laws on the books. They're going to prioritize the repeal of these laws in their international relations with these countries. I'm looking at the resolution right now. They are particularly highlighting Pakistan, and they called out Pakistan over and over and over again in the text of this resolution.
And Saudi Arabia?
I'm going to look through it. Primarily Pakistan.
Rivka.
Okay, so to your point about how good this is, Representative Raskin has been working on this for several years. When I went with Secular Coalition for America to do lobby days a couple times at DC. In DC, he brought this up in 2018 and in 2019 as a proposal that he was working on. So this has been a long time coming. So, and it really shows that when you want to, you can get bipartisan things done. And how it's going to have an effect is that they're going to oppose any United Nations or other multinational bodies from creating international blasphemy laws. Like, so for example, the United Nations has tried to do these defamation of religion type resolutions over and over and over again. They tried to do it in 1999, they tried to do it in 2010 and some other times. So they're gonna oppose that. The United States will unilaterally oppose those. And they're gonna expand any international norms to incite blasphemy. So specifically, like with regard to Pakistan, specifically they talked about that. And they also want to include in the Human Rights Council resolution of 2011, pursuant to First Amendment of the Constitution, similarly as terms of discrimination against persons based on their religion or belief without expression or non-belief. So they want to not necessarily make a worldwide First Amendment, but use some of those things that the United States has as freedom of expression, freedom of religion, things like that, and freedom to not have a religion as part of a way to combat intolerance and to move that forward. And then again, as you were talking about, the president and the secretary of state have to designate countries that enforce blasphemy, heresy, or apostasy laws, or of what they call particular concern for religious freedoms. And they are going to specifically call those countries out and hold them to account, particularly when it comes to negotiations for certain things, whether that be, aid or other things like that. And they want to urge them to repeal it. And let people who have been imprisoned for blasphemy or heresy or apostasy be released from prison unconditionally.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say AGA, thank you for the $5 super chat. AGA is saying, thank you for following the first news story with this really awesome news story. You're welcome. Unfortunately, the rest of the news this week is not so positive. Well, I have an answer to Armin's question, but I'll wait till he gets back. And then also I wanted to play some video from this, but he's the one who has that queued up. So we'll get to that in a second. But I'll read a little bit of the text. Oh, he's back. Wait.
Well, I just wanted to say, too, about releasing people unconditionally, also ensuring the safety of their families as well.
Yes, that's key. So Armin, to answer your question, Pakistan is named 7 times in the verbiage of this bill. Saudi Arabia is not mentioned once.
Okay. I want to break something, but this is I can't be too picky right now, okay? Because we need to get something like this. I mean, the methodology is exactly what I always envisioned to be the best way of going about doing these things, right? Because no country owes you cooperation or trade. This is the alternative. This is the best method of enforcement, right? And it's not just that the United States is doing something like this. It's also that the United States is setting a precedent for other countries, for a model for other countries to take. This is the way to enforce human rights, like rather than going to war with them or like using trade agreements. Because again, if people are like, oh, how could you put like you have no business in telling other countries how to do internal politics. Well, sure, but those countries don't owe you don't owe doing trades with those countries, right? So if you decide that you don't want to do trade or other cooperations with other countries that have a poor human rights record, that is within the right of your country as well, right? You're not going in and forcing them to do anything differently, but at the same time, you're using your influence in a way that is completely in line with international laws. Because you don't have to do trades with countries that you don't want to. And if you want to use that if you want to use human rights as a method, as a measuring tool for who you want to have better relationship with, that's like full on humanism. Like you are sacrificing other geopolitical agendas that you could have, in favor of putting humans' lives, right? So this is the best way to do politics. And again, it's not perfect because it's not being consistent, right? Like countries like Saudi Arabia is not getting any mention, of course, because of oil and because of weapons deals and stuff like that, which is really a shame. But again, it's a good model, and it's and it sets a precedent, and it's a step in the right direction. Susanna, you want to say something?
I just wanted to read a little bit of verbiage from the resolution. Whereas the United States has become a beacon of religious freedom and tolerance around the world, now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives, 1, I'm going to skip number 1, 2, calls on the President and Secretary of State to make repeal of blasphemy, heresy, and apostasy laws a priority in the bilateral relationships of the United States with all countries that have such laws through direct interventions in bilateral and multilateral fora. And D, somewhere in the chat, I can't find it, but she was saying that he explicitly mentioned the situation in Nigeria and, in fact, the continuing arbitrary detention of Mubarak Bala. But let's go and show the video.
Before we do, did you read the super chat?
Yes, I did.
You did, and I do. Some of our members have tagged us, so we need to read that as well. So I highlighted Luke.
Call me cynical, but how many Republicans voted for this? Because a lot of minorities are Christian, still great, but who cares? They deserve protection as well.
Yeah, I mean the minority Christians, like the Christians, are not being prosecuted in the United States, but they are in other countries, so they deserve a lot of protection.
I actually get incredibly frustrated when ex-Christian atheists in North America act like nowhere in the world does anti-Christian bigotry exist, because it doesn't play their narrative that's anti-evangelical and anti-evangelicism. I hate it. Go talk to some Egyptian cops, Christian cops, or go talk to Christians in Pakistan.
Wait, Rivka, before you do, let me just finish the comments and then go to super chat, and then we go to Rivka, and then we go to the video.
I can answer the question though. Okay. How many Republicans voted for it? 160. That's how many.
Okay, cool. Wow, very useful information by Rivka. Secular Proton is saying, on the same note, they should probably also pressure countries to recognize freedom to change religion and abandon it. That could go a long way. I mean, technically, that's covered under repealing blasphemy laws. Like I'm assuming that's covers that. And we also got a super.
It does. It explicitly mentions there are multiple places in this resolution that explicitly mention secularists and repeatedly emphasizes that this protects the right to choose, change, or leave religion.
Varun gave us a $5 super chat. Susanna, you want to read that, and then we go to the video.
$5, saying, "You guys, when are you making video about Kalash or Chitral people genocide in Pakistan?" Sorry for the digression. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's.
We have a Discord server. If you want to recommend videos for us to reviews or topic for us to cover, there is a video recommendation channel in our Discord server. Please drop it right over there. I don't promise it, but that's where we go look to come up with ideas. And thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Anyways,
San Miguel TV. Hi, Miguel.
What? San Miguel TV.
$3. Guys, go check out San Miguel TV if you want to learn about Black Hebrew Israelitism. And because he's a Black Hebrew Israelite, he talked to all three of us here, and he's a really great guy.
Or if you're just interested in cults, like Black Hebrew Israelites is a very interesting cult to learn about. And San Miguel TV, he himself is an ex-Black Hebrew Israelite. It's a very interesting channel. Go check it out. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Let's play this video. Let me know if you have audio once I start playing it.
Republican support odd. What? Luke, I completely disagree with you. Like, there's nothing odd about Republicans wanting to defend and emphasize one of our constitutional values.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's not odd.
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking if anything could get bipartisan support, it would be something like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's
actually very conservative. This is a very conservative thing to think about, and it's originalist as well.
Right.
Yeah. So let's play the first 3 minutes.
Okay, just for 3 minutes. Each will control. Okay, cool.
20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days within which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous materials on H.R. 512.
Without objection.
And I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, in this age of partisan division, one of the foundational American values still has the power to bring us together across the aisle: the defense of every human being's freedom of religious conscience and freedom of thought against government persecution. With House Resolution 512, we act today to stand up for religious and intellectual freedom in a world gone mad with religious discrimination, religious oppression, and religious violence. H.R. 512 calls for global repeal of laws punishing blasphemy, heresy, and apostasy, 3 religiously defined thought crimes that have no actual victims and thus no place in the criminal law of free nations. And yet governments in 84 countries, from Saudi Arabia and Iran and Somalia to China and Russia and Bangladesh, still use laws like these to intimidate, arrest, prosecute, and incarcerate members of minority religions, disfavored faiths, and free thinkers, putting people in jail or even condemning them to death for religiously subversive speech was not unknown in the American colonies. In Massachusetts, Puritan governors hanged Quakers for their heretical lectures in town squares. But our Enlightenment Constitution, especially our First Amendment free exercise and anti-religious establishment clauses, put us squarely on the path of rejecting blasphemy laws and these other relics of Inquisition, Holy Crusades, and New England witchcraft trials. Our law has gotten rid of obsolete offenses like blasphemy and apostasy because they have a purely religious character and do not refer to empirical social harms. Blasphemy is making impious or sacrilegious statements about established churches or doctrines. Heresy is taking religious or intellectual positions at odds with an established religious orthodoxy. Apostasy is breaking away from a religious orthodoxy or church. As offensive as we might consider other people's religious views and utterances, in America today, people's thoughts and words about religion are absolutely protected by the First Amendment. But in many parts of the world where religion is still actively weaponized by theocratic and authoritarian governments, these imaginary offenses can still get you thrown into jail, harassed and executed, or simply stopped and torn from limb to limb by state-sanctioned lynch mobs. Religious people of the wrong faith are the most common victims of blasphemy and heresy laws. You might be a practicing Christian or Hindu in an officially Muslim state, like Libya or Afghanistan, or a devout Muslim in a Hindu society like India. You might be a non-religious person targeted by your enemies or state authorities. You might be a 22-year-old Nigerian gospel musician like Yahu Sharif Aminu, who was convicted of blasphemy in a state Sharia court in Kano State on August 10th and has been sentenced to death by hanging for something that he said on a WhatsApp group on the internet. You might be a Sudanese Christian like Miriam Ibrahim, who was jailed for apostasy because although she'd been a devout Christian for her entire life, government officials demanded that she followed her absent father's Muslim faith. She was held in jail with her 20-month-old son and forced to give birth to her daughter in prison while her legs were shackled to the floor. You might be a 13-year-old Muslim boy in Nigeria like Omar Farouk, who was sentenced to 10 years at hard labor for blasphemy when he said something about Allah in an argument with friends, a brutal miscarriage of justice condemned by UNICEF and child advocates all over the world. You might even belong to the wrong sect of the official state religion. In the Islamic State of Pakistan, for example, people belonging to the Ahmadiyya Muslim faith are being persecuted as heretics and apostates as if this were the Middle Ages. At least 5 Ahmadi Muslims have been killed in Pakistan this year alone because of their faith, including Tahir Ahmad Nasim, an American citizen who was murdered in broad daylight in a courtroom while standing trial for blasphemy charges just for practicing his own religion. While his teenage killer was arrested, he is being celebrated now as a martyr by the media and members of the police service who watched him kill Nasim. Mr. Speaker, the global assault on religious and intellectual freedom today is taking place in many of the world's largest countries. China confines millions of Uyghur Muslims in miserable re-education camps and forces them into slave labor in Zhejiang province. Russia has decreed that Jehovah's Witnesses are an extremist group and confiscated their property, jailed their members, and even allegedly tortured some of them. India recently passed draconian laws burdening the rights of disfavored Muslim minorities. With this resolution, Mr. Speaker, against the new wave of global religious oppression and persecution, America can once again take the lead in defending the basic human rights of religious and intellectual freedom all over the world. James Madison, the author of our First Amendment, denounced that, quote, diabolical, hell-conceived principle of persecution. And he stated in his remonstrance against religious assessments that the religion of every man must be left to the conviction and conscience of every man. Let us share this principle with the nations of the world with this resolution. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Maryland reserves. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Yay!
Jeremy Raskin is amazing, by the way. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Which state?
Maryland.
Maryland.
Can he run for president or something? I don't know.
Well, okay, so someone was, first of all, thank you for the £3 super chat, Jay Sean, saying tell
Thank
Armin
you.
I love him. I don't think we have to tell him, you just did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Someone in the live chat was saying that I lied and that they didn't mention Saudi Arabia. Excuse me, that was his comments on the floor of the House. Okay, I was talking about the actual text, the actual verbiage of the presented resolution. So come correct first. But this is all amazing news. Now what we need to do is we need to work as a country. Well, if you're a US citizen, go learn about the resolution that's being presented in the Senate, because we need a matching resolution to go through the Senate as well for this to become, more federally powerful. Someone is saying that I should run for president. No, thank you.
You need to get a little bit older first, and then you can.
I have about
guys,
10 years.
let's focus. Like a lot of the comments are they really like the speech. Some of the some people are really dumb, but most of the comments were really in favor of the speech. It was a really good speech, wasn't it? Like, why this should get more attention, especially amongst secular. Like, if this was about some identity politics stuff, it would have gotten a lot more attention. Like, but it's so bad. It's so sad that something that we here recognize as a step in the right direction, or at least a speech that is suggesting a step in the right direction, we celebrate it here, but that doesn't get the same that doesn't go viral right now on social media. Like, if it was about, I don't know, something on either side, identity politics related, this would have gotten a lot more attention than it did. So it's sad, but we need to, guys, make sure you share this. Like, give credit. Like, you have to reward politicians when they even if you think like maybe it won't work, but it will work if you just reward them with some attention, so that other politicians notice that this is something that people care about. When they take slightly a sidestep in the right position, you guys need to reward that if you want to see more of it, right?
Yeah, and amazing organizations like Ex-Muslims of North America worked with Senator Raskin and other sponsors to help highlight with other legislators about why this is such an important issue. So I think we should go to the next news, because we spent an hour on the first two items.
Oof. Okay, sir. Okay. All right. Can I clap for the next news?
Yeah. Yes.
Next news.
Next news. A longtime exorcist says Satanism is growing in Western societies. Rivka, you speak French. Can you help me with pronouncing this guy's name?
It's okay.
You're muted.
Doesn't matter. Let's just go.
Francois Marie Darmin. I can't see it. Francois Marie.
Okay, doesn't really matter. Okay,
well, it helps me. Okay, so in Rome, a Canadian by birth, Father Francois Marie Darmin has been an exorcist for several Italian dioceses since 1994. His latest work, which the English translation of the title is Let's Reason About the Devil Between Superstitions, Myths, and Reality, seeks to inform the public, including non-believers, about the nature of satanic activity during an age when the devil's existence is being questioned, even by leaders in the Catholic faith. In an interview with the National Catholic Register, Darmin stated, quote, "Whoever denies the existence of the devil is a heretic," end quote. When asked about the resurgence of, quote, aggressive Satanism, Darmin spoke of the prevalence of Satanism on the internet and stated, quote, "On these websites, the figure of the devil is openly praised, and it attracts many people. This figure of the devil who emancipates himself from God to lead his life as he pleases. There is also a growth of real satanic groups, whereas in the past they were an exceptional reality. They are multiplying in a very worrying way. Satanism has come out in the open, and we must be very careful about it," end quote.
Hail Satan! Wait.
I like how he says that Satan emancipates himself from God to lead life on his own terms.
Yeah, like he says
as
himself.
If that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
To emancipate yourself from God to lead life on your own terms.
Guys, we got a $6.60 super chat. We got a 666 super chat from Doorknob Head for this article. Thank you so much, Doorknob. This is the best super chat. 66. This is so fitting. I love it.
He sent us $5 and then said oops, and then sent us the follow-up another $1.66. Thank you, Doorknob Head.
Oh, thank you so much.
Was it Doorknob Head who sent us $66.6?
Yeah, that was
$0.60 like last week. That was crazy.
Thank you so much. That was a lot.
That was
thank you. So Doorknob, you're amazing, and you have so many funny comments as well.
Yeah.
Wait, the comments on this should be funny.
Hold on. What's the comments on the Facebook page? So here's the deal. This guy is we linked to was an interview he did, question and answer style. And he's talking about how he firmly rejects the idea that some faith leaders have brought forth that the devil is a symbol. And he's like, no, guys, like the devil is real, because like believing in angels is a tenet of the faith. To consider yourself a Catholic, you have to believe in angels. The devil is a fallen angel. If you do not believe in the devil, you're a heretic. And he goes on to say like 99% of the evil we experience is not the devil, so to speak, or directly the devil. But he's like, no, it's real and it does exist. And he even calls out Catholic faith leaders for trying to rationalize Catholicism around Vatican II in the 60s. So he is explicitly like talking about how rationalizing Catholicism as a bad thing, or trying to impose rationality onto Catholicism as a bad thing.
I mean, technically it makes sense, right? It was the devil that wanted to share the fruit of knowledge with humans, and associating that with rationalism. Symbolically, it's a perfect match.
Yeah.
Right? I like it.
But what are the comments on the Facebook post like? I bet our community had some pretty funny things to say.
What? Highlight it.
No, I can't, because I'm talking about the Facebook post.
Oh, I didn't see any good comments.
Oh, okay.
Good. Let me hold on. You saw something good? I saw some history lessons.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe I missed something. This person
is just talking about satanic panic.
Yeah, it's a history lesson.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. And he gives like classes on exorcism. Like this, people like the Catholic Church really tries to distance itself from this, but it's still like ordained, and it's still.
They're very expensive too. Like you have to like pay like for. I think it was, if I remember correctly, like if you want to take an official exorcism class, for example, from the Vatican itself, like people are like, oh guys, don't go to this Catholic church for your exorcism class. You go directly to Vatican. Like it doesn't get any more genuine than like getting it official from Vatican, so it's supposed to be like super good. I think it was like $400 for their but think about what a good money-making machine this is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't even have to travel to Vatican. You could have online courses that is endorsed by people like official, demon experts in Vatican, and you pay $400. Like imagine how many people are like enrolling for $400 classes. Was it 400? Yeah, 400 euros, I think. I'm not sure. To be like, oh my God, I have a degree official from Vatican. I am demonology, or like, oh, I understand Satan. I could do exorcism.
I mean, Armin, like, you're talking about the institution that created indulgences.
Right, but when the news of these classes, just 1 second, when the news of these classes, we covered the news of these classes like when it first came out on Atheist Republic, and I suggested, and I don't know if anybody did this, for somebody to go take one of these classes, okay, take $400, an atheist, and record everything, and then put it out there available for the public somehow. I don't know. Is that criminal? Wait, I can't suggest that. But if somebody did that, that would be like really damaging to the Vatican financially. But no, if it's illegal, guys, do not do anything illegal. I do not endorse doing anything illegal here on YouTube. Rivka, you want to say something?
Couple things. One, I'm sure you probably have to sign a waiver saying that you can't do anything with that stuff when you pay for the class.
But you can show up on torrent websites. They can't stop that.
Yeah. But the other thing is he also discusses several different things like homeopathy, yoga, Reiki. Like he was saying that certain products, certain natural things, waiting for miraculous effects from them are superstition, and that's wrong. He talks about yoga potentially being demonizing, Reiki potentially, that it's like you can lay on hands in Catholicism, but with Reiki, it's a Japanese masters that claim they have healing energy inside them, and you have to recite Japanese sacred texts. So that's contradictory. Yoga is contradictory. And so basically he's saying, on a case by case basis, we have to decide which ones are problematic and of the devil and which ones aren't. So I just think it's really interesting how cherry picking they are about, because he said that he used to practice yoga until he realized it was bad.
Wow.
And, but I just think that that's really interesting that somebody asked him a question about that, and he had this, several paragraphs to talk about the problems with these natural healing and yoga, Reiki, things like that.
All right, so we need to read the super chat. Anish gave us 100 rupees super chat. Thank you so much. Anish is saying, I feel at least some people are closet atheists supporting religion because it forms a part of identity. Your thought, culture, worth saving. Okay, Anish, this is not relevant to the news that we're covering, but because it's a super chat, I give you a short answer. No, it's not culturally worth saving. If it's cultural and no belief, then it's not religion anymore. It's just like make believe, enjoying stories and mythology and traditions. That's not the religion. Without the belief, the religion is not the same thing. Okay, so I believe it's completely fine to enjoy traditions, music, art, stories, as long as the belief is not there, and the belief itself, which is the religion, is not worth preserving at all. But okay, this is not really relevant, so I'm going to move on to this. Muhammad was Satan's minion too, and well, Muhammad, technically none of those stories are real, but according to the stories, Muhammad was used according to Islamic canon itself, Muhammad was used by the devil to send his message at one point. Anyways, what?
that was an oopsie moment.
That was an oopsie moment, yes. And that's where you get the phrase,
right?
No.
Oh.
Salman Rushdie's book. Satanic Verses. Is that what it is? Satanic Verses. The English version of it. Yeah, okay, Satanic Verses. Yeah, it comes from the story of Muhammad. It's a fan fiction of Muhammad's story and his devilish verses. Anyways, we need to go to the next news. Oh no, I cannot clap for this one at all.
No.
Next news.
Okay, next news. Maldivian atheist arrested and tortured while in custody in the Maldives. Maldivian atheist Rustum Russo was first arrested on September 10th, 2019, and is still in police custody. Sources informed Ladhini.com that Rustum was arrested after he asked the Maldives police service for protection from the religious extremists on his island who were giving him death threats. He was subsequently released for a few days in March 2020, but was arrested again due to continued complaints about him. The prominent cases against him are for, quote, trying to disrupt religious unity and blasphemy. Authorities subjected him to mental evaluations due to his apostasy. Other news sources in the Maldives report that Rustum was first arrested for organizing a gathering against religion in Thinanhu, where he was speaking to youth and criticizing religion, and for publicly opposing religion on Twitter. Maldivian apostates and quote-unquote blasphemers like Rustum are particularly vulnerable as they live on small islands where there is literally nowhere to run. So
Maldives is literally hell for ex-Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's amazing that such a country that is treated as a heaven for tourists, it literally looks like heaven for tourists, and yet it's right behind like the tourist sections are people living in under the most extreme laws on the planet. So it's crazy how you could have both, side by side. And some people, the tourist experience of Maldives is very, very different from the experience people have living there. But go on. Rivka, wanted to say something? No.
No, I was just thinking about that. Like, I didn't know years ago how horrible it was for non-believers in the Maldives. All I ever knew about is how gorgeous it was. And you're right. It's this thing that so many people do not know. They only see it as this absolutely gorgeous resort, exquisite environment, but not the suffering of the people who actually live there.
Yeah, they have done a very amazing job at separating, like, how you have you know what reminds me, in Islam, when you go to heaven, you get to the people in hell, right? They get to see into heaven, and so that when they're so thirsty and burning, they could see people in heaven having, like, drinking wine and honey and milk, and they could see into heaven and the beautiful lives they're having. But the people in heaven, so that they do not disturb, they can't see into hell, so that their mood is not ruined, right? And this is basically very much like Maldives to me, like basically the Islamic version of heaven and hell, because all these people in Maldives who live there, they could see these tourists coming and enjoying Maldives and enjoying the beauty and living such lives. But the tourists there, the government there has done a very good job at separating, and they come and they never notice what the people there are living like. Susanna, you want to say something?
Yeah, so this news is a little bit old. The story was from August, but it was brought to my attention by a Maldivian atheist, and I wanted to highlight it because we don't talk about the Maldives very frequently, and people, again, don't know about the reality of people who live there. And it's not specifically for atheists, it's just for apostates, right? You can apostatize and become a Christian. You're still going to have a lot of problems there. And I should highlight, my understanding of this case is that he was asking the police for protection, and they arrested him because of that. Or like that, maybe not because of that, but that prompted them to arrest him. When he was like, hey guys, I'm being threatened. And they're like, oh no, we're going to arrest you though. Deborah is saying, so Deborah is ex-Islamic fundamentalist who was a part of Hizb Tahrir, which is trying to establish.
She's ex-Muslim and ex-Christian at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. But for those who don't know, that's a group that is trying to reestablish the Khalifa. And so she was saying we were wishing to make an Islamic state there when she was.
By the way, do people know? People know that Maldives is an Islamic country, right? Like,
I don't think your like typical American would know that. No.
Really? Okay.
Most people don't.
Really? Okay.
In my experience,
I would say that most people do not realize that, and they definitely don't talk about it in the Condé Nast travel guide where they show you the infinity pool hotel or whatever.
Okay. But so they have, Maldives has done such an amazing evil job at being so Islamic, as give you such an Islamic experience to the locals there, and yet have separated Islam from the tourist industry so much that most people don't even know they're stepping into an Islamic country, and they are so separated from having an Islamic experience when they go to do tourism over there that they don't even recognize that they're in an Islamic country. That's how effective the Maldives is taking advantage of tourism while enforcing Islamic laws on its citizens. This is like Saudi Arabia's dream come true. Saudi Arabia's like wet dream is to make it like seem like a non-Islamic image to the whole world. Maldives has like mastered that art. Amazing.
Yeah, and Deborah is saying, I only found out when she was a Hizbi, when she was part of Hizb Tahrir.
Yeah, I think the majority of people, if you ask them, like, so what's the religion of the Maldives? They're like, I don't know, some island religion, like, honestly, that's probably, it would never even occur to them, the majority of people who see these photographs in the Sky Mall magazine or the Condé Nast Traveler, or, that's all they know about it, really, is the tourist aspect of it. And it's this island and it's gorgeous and could go there on your honeymoon. But I wanted to say, to your point about, like, he went to the police for protection and they arrested him. That's actually a very common thing I've seen happen in Muslim majority or Islamic countries, even like supposedly, the soft Islam, like Morocco, we had incidences of that where women were being attacked or chased or accused of things, and they would go to the police and the police would arrest them. So that's a common occurrence I've noticed in a lot of these Islamic countries, where someone is supposedly violating some either, religious prohibition or socio-religious prohibition. And when they go to the authorities for help, they end up being arrested instead.
All right, can we clap for the next news? Yeah.
I mean, it's not terrible. I'm gonna take it where we can get it.
Yeah, next news. I just won't be cheerful about it. This is just like a segue. Next news.
Next news. First Indian Muslim man arrested under Love Jihad law in Uttar Pradesh, India. In the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, local police have arrested a Muslim man for allegedly trying to convert a Hindu woman. He is the first to be arrested under the new anti-quote-unquote Love Jihad law. For those who do not know, Love Jihad is a conspiracy radical Hindu groups promulgate to accuse Muslim men of converting Hindu women by marriage. The woman's father filed the complaint, telling BBC Hindi that he did so because the man put pressure on his daughter to accept Islam and threatened her if she refused. The woman was allegedly in a relationship with the man, but recently married someone else. The accused was sent to 14 days of judicial custody. He maintained his innocence and said that he had no link with the woman. The anti-conversion law carries a jail term of up to 10 years, and offenses under it are non-bailable. At least 4 other Indian states are drafting similar laws against so-called Love Jihad.
Okay, so people who don't know what Love Jihad is, it's a conspiracy theory by idiot Hindutva jihadis who think that who are the people who are trying to actually demographically engineer India to change it from being a secular country to a Hindu country, but yet while they're doing demographic engineering themselves, they're accusing the Muslim population there to do of doing demographic engineering by they're accusing Muslims in India of trying to make India a Muslim country by what evil genius method? By going up and stealing women, apparently. Like, this is what they think they're going to go and brainwash Hindu women and convince them to marry Muslim men and then convert to Islam. And that's the genius plan that Muslims have to make India a Muslim country. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so this is genuinely the conspiracy theory that they have, that they think that they're Hindu. So the idea is that they took something that was real, which was, for example, the kidnapping of Hindu and other non-Muslim women, especially in Pakistan, mostly not in India, but in Pakistan, kidnapping them and doing forced conversion of non-Muslim women to Islam so that they could basically turn them into wives, which not really are, they're technically sex slaves in that situation, that are being raped all the time. And that's happening alarmingly in high numbers in Pakistan. But in India, the Hindutva have weaponized this as a political tool to go accuse any genuine relationship between a Muslim man and a Hindu woman as love jihad, as a way for saying that Muslim men are trying to spread Islam by stealing Hindu women, which is extremely showing Hindutva's misogyny to even try to claim ownership over women and to suggest that adult women cannot fall in love with the Muslim men, or if they do, they were probably duped or conned, or that they don't know any better, and that they as Hindutva are trying to make decisions for Hindu women. And the fact that they don't feel the same way when Hindu men marry, for example, or fall in love with Muslim women, they actually see that as a win. They have because they feel like we're stealing one of their women, which is basically treating women like property, that you steal some of ours, we steal some of yours. And now this conspiracy of love jihad. So baby, there are people that were killed for this, right? There were Muslims that were beheaded by beheaded and burned after being accused of falling in love with a Hindu woman. Hindutva actually beheaded them. That's how crazy this thing has gotten, right? And these are people that actually go harass weddings because the man is a Muslim and the woman is a Hindu. They go and try to, imagine how evil you are, that your activism involves separating people who are falling in love with each other. That's how crazy Hindutva is getting in India. People are falling in love, and Hindutva is like, yeah, no love for you, no love for you. Okay, and now they're passing that as a law to make love jihad, this conspiracy term, this nonsense conspiracy term. They're passing law to make it illegal, and now people are actually getting arrested under this law. Susanna, you want to say? Sorry.
First of all, Onionologist saying those damn sexy Muslims.
Imagine that. Imagine
wait, Armin. I waited so long. So you're saying, oh, well, this isn't quite what you were saying, but you were saying like, oh, how does this work as demographic engineering when you're just coming after the woman? It's not just the woman. It is how the children of that marriage are supposed to be raised Muslim. That's part of it. So it's not just the woman, it's possession over their future children as well. There was another good comment. Hussein made me laugh so hard saying, I remember back in my Muslim days seducing Hindu women to do dawah. Good times. to the Hindutva watching this, he's joking.
No, he's not joking. We're coming after your woman, guys. This is so. First of all,
I have more to say.
Okay.
So this is there. There was a lot more to this case that I couldn't cover just in the blurb. So the father of this girl is accusing him of trying to kidnap her in the past. But based on what I was reading, it didn't sound like she was kidnapped. It sounded like they ran away together, like they were almost looking to elope, and it didn't happen. It's absolutely ridiculous, and you're right. It's actively it's in violation of the Indian Constitution. First of all, second of all, it is actively against just interfaith marriage in general. It reminds me of what you were saying last week when you're like actively trying to break up people's marriages. You're like, are we the baddies? Are we the bad ones here? But in fact, the next story is we're going to be talking about a specific wedding that was broken up. And it's a really big problem. And the fact that not only was this passed in Uttar Pradesh, which is India's most populous state, and it not only is it the most populous state, it is the state that has the largest percentage of Muslims of a state in India. I believe there are 34 Muslims in UP. This is going to affect the lives of millions of people. And not only is that bad enough that it was passed in UP, where that psycho Yogi A is the chief minister, there are 4 other states that are looking at introducing this into their laws as well. Hussein is saying it's not a joke, and these atheists are coming for your women too. Yeah, Hussein.
You know, okay. Can I say something now, just really quickly? Is that right, Susanna? By the way, Susanna, think about this. How bad are Hindutva at pleasing their woman? That the only way to keep them is to mandate it by law that you can't like how. First of all, how good are these Muslims? Like imagine Hindutva being so afraid. These Muslim men are so sexy and they're so fine and they're so good at pleasing women that the only way for the Hindus to protect their women is to make it illegal for all these Muslim men to come and steal them away. Maybe try.
Let me clarify.
Right.
It is not illegal, but you have to get. Well, we'll talk about it more in the next news. But you have to get pre-approval.
Yes.
Above and beyond the approval required for an intra-faith marriage.
So they're sending them all pictures of flowers with poems. That's how they're doing it.
Oh, you know, I know what the guys. I know what the approval process. Actually, Rivka's come and give me an idea. This should be a video, okay? So a Hindu woman falls in love with a Muslim man, and they go for an approval process. And the approval process is like a Hindutva police officers, and he comes and shows the pictures of like Hindu men, and we're like, what about this guy? Like, is he sexy? Like, no. Okay, what about this guy? Like, he keeps like, look at this sexy man, look at these sexy Hindus. Like, no. Okay, wait, I have more. How about my son? No.
You like what you see? Well,
I like
this.
I like. Okay, guys. We have 10 guys. Like, none of these work. Okay, we have 10 guys. You have to do like speed dating with each one of them are going to try to steal you away. They're going to try to,
Wait, we got a super chat. We got a super sticker from Varun. Thank you for the $5 super stickers. I checked the YouTube live chat, and it's the pair lifting weights going, keep it up.
Okay. So here's the thing. Imagine they have they trained a whole bunch of people to be like really good at flirting, right? And the woman that is like marrying a Muslim, they bring them on, and then like after 5 years of training, he's supposed to like flirt with them and try to steal them back to liking a Hindu man. And the guy like just forgets all his lines, gets stressful, is like, Bob's and vagina, like, no, Shabham, run, get out of here. Like, no, my training failed. Like, no. I failed the Hindutva. I failed the BJP. No.
All I had to do was memorize one Hafez poem. Just one.
That should be a comment. That should be a clip. Okay.
I lost it at Bob's and Vagine.
Like, that was not the line that you're supposed to say. That's what it is. They keep saying Bob's and Vagine, and they're going for Muslims instead. Anyways.
Hello, dear. Katie. How about Bob's and Vagine?
Katie's saying, bruh.
I was trying to come up with some other Muslim names, Hindu names. I couldn't think of any. I was trying to say Abhishek. I can never get that right. Abhishek. That's very common, right? Abhishek.
Krishna.
Krishna. Yes. $2 super sticker by Al Uza. We did the other super sticker already, right? With the pair. Oh, Varun was give us $5. What is this one? This is Hippo saying 1 up. Thank you so much for the super chat. Bitch lasagna. I don't know what a lot of people would not know that reference, so I'm not gonna explain. Cool. All right, so should we go to the next news? You're muted.
Yeah, so the next news is a follow-up on this story.
Okay. Follow up on this first. Okay, so we because we're gonna cut these into segments, make sure you give some context to people who did not see the last news. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we clap? Yes.
Yeah, not enthusiastically.
Not enthusiastic. Okay. Next
news. Okay. Indian cops stop consensual interfaith wedding and cite anti-conversion law in Lucknow, India. So this is a follow-up in the sense that it's not the case of the first Muslim man arrested under the new law, but this is showing how it's actively breaking up consensual marriages. So in Lucknow, India, Indian police recently stopped an interfaith marriage in Lucknow, citing the newly passed, quote, Uttar Pradesh prohibition of unlawful conversion of religious ordinance, end quote. That's the name of the law. After receiving complaints from Hindu stakeholders, the police intervened on the wedding day despite the Hindu bride and Muslim bridegroom's parents giving their consent. As final preparations were underway, police arrived and asked the couple to first seek clearance from the Lucknow district magistrate. The couple was given a copy of the anti-conversion ordinance and told that they couldn't get married without the district magistrate's permission. Sources have also said that the Muslim man wanted to become Hindu and that the couple were getting married according to Hindu rituals. So one thing I wanted to highlight about this news was because I thought it was very interesting in the news stories that I read about this, that the way that the Indian press is talking about it is they are highlighting the fact that this was done by the police despite the parents' consent. I'm like, well, shouldn't we be most worried about the couple's consent? So that was one of the first things I noticed. Second, there was another very high profile case in India where it wasn't the same story, but it was a similar story of a couple being the police interrupting a wedding of similar religious background, and the police beat the crap out of the person who was going to perform the marriage, and they were actively ripping the to-be newlyweds apart and just arresting people at this wedding because it was an interfaith marriage. So interfaith marriages are going to be explicitly treated differently under this law. They have to receive prior approval from the magistrate, sometimes up to a month in advance of the wedding. So it's being a second tier system, basically. So Rivka, what is your commentary?
So I have one question and a couple comments. I'm wondering, does it cost extra money to file with the magistrate too? Because most of the time we have to get a marriage license, you pay, but if this is on top of the regular whatever, you might have to file. So I'm wondering if that's also another way of making it even more prohibitive. So not only do you have to get consent of a magistrate, not only is it going to potentially take a lot longer, you may even have to pay. I'm curious about that, if there's a fee involved.
That's a good point.
I'm
not familiar as if there is an additional fee that goes above and beyond a typical.
Yeah, I'm just curious about that.
When I say typical, I don't mean that this is not a typical marriage. I mean marriage between two people of the same faith. Really quickly, I want to highlight Ghost Bunny saying, I remembered I joined Atheist Republic because of Susanna's Love Jihad. And then I just sent for Armin.
So my comments, though, are it was interesting that the article said that this marriage was stopped because of Hindu stakeholders, as if everybody else has some say in this couple's marriage. Obviously they have a say in their own relationship, and even particularly in a more traditional society or people who care about their families have some that, could have some say in it to a degree, whatever you choose. But to let the wider country or group of people around you have a say in what you can and can't do in terms of who you can marry. It just seems so discriminatory, above and beyond even, that like somehow these people's concerns about your interpersonal life is what matters more. And then the final thing I wanted to say is that I have a friend a good friend who lives in Lucknow, and he and I were talking about this. He's Muslim, actually. Well, his family is Muslim. And he told me that this is so heated that he's afraid to talk about it with anyone because of how heated people get. And he's certainly afraid to, even more so afraid to discuss it just like in the cafe, or because if someone would overhear, even if he could find someone that he felt comfortable discussing it with, he is literally afraid for his physical safety should a conversation about this be overheard, and the fact that he's a Muslim, unmarried Muslim guy.
Yeah, a Muslim man in Uttar Pradesh, like, I would be scared too. Katie has a really good comment saying, this is India. It doesn't matter if you're an adult, your individuality doesn't matter to the society. Your parents should be making decisions for you. And this is, I mean, I knew this when I mentioned it because I know that that is an important aspect of Indian culture, is the collectivist family structure. And it reminds me of the news we covered a couple of weeks ago of a lesbian couple who were living together, and they were, one of them was basically kidnapped by their family just because they wanted her back. She had no say, and they beat the crap out of her girlfriend or her partner. Because it's like, nope, we want you back. You're coming back. And they're fully grown adults living consensually together. And other people are highlighting how is India going backwards and highlighting how this is unconstitutional. And then other people are saying, well, the Constitution can be changed. And maybe highlighting that BJP and Hindutva might try to be doing it slowly. Oh, but we got a super chat. From Varun. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Varun, saying legally legal Hindutva wedding. As sad as it is, you're only reading news of honest grooms who did not bribe the government. I'm a little bit confused about what you're saying, legally legal Hindutva wedding. Sad as it is, you're only reading news of honest grooms who did not bribe the government official.
Maybe like if there was interfaith marriage and somebody bribed government officials, then it would go through with no problem if you had bribed somebody. I do want to say that it is very, I don't know if the Hindutva realize how bad this looks. Like, this is such, like, people are like, guys, you guys are against Hindutva. You guys are like trying to make India look bad. I mean, do we even have to try? People are falling in love, and your ideology, your Hindu ideology has made you signal to the whole world that you go and break up weddings of people that want to be together and love each other. I mean, we don't even have to. We just have to, like, boop, look at the news, look at everyone. Like, we don't. You guys are doing 99% of the job to make your ideology advertise itself as the evil, backward, insane dogma that it is. We just have to push it. The last like 1% is us just showing it. Like, you guys are doing all the work for us. Like, you guys are evil. You guys are pure evil. Look at what you're doing. But go on, Susanna.
So Daniel Jones is saying, so this isn't love jihad at all. It's a ban on interfaith marriage. It's pretty much a non-constitutional law, right? And other people are saying, yes, Daniel, it's bigotry in the highest order. But here's the thing. It's not a full ban. It's just making it much more difficult above other marriages to get married. And again, any supposed alleged violation of this law is non-bailable and punishable by up to 10 years in prison.
All right.
It's like almost like a Jim Crow type thing in terms of the law. You have this extra steps that you have to go.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to respond to Daniel. First of all, saying so. This isn't love jihad at all. It's a ban on interfaith marriage. Daniel, love jihad is not real. What do you mean it's not love jihad? Love jihad is all fake. Okay, the love. What do you're saying? You're saying this isn't love jihad. It's a ban on interfaith marriage. That's the point of love jihad, is to ban interfaith marriage. Like, what do you think love jihad? What do you think the whole love jihad conspiracy is for? Is to ban interfaith marriage? Like, you're making it seem as if like that is not what love jihad is made for. Like, they go together. You're acting like they are usually contradict each other. No, like one is made to ban the other one. And also when you say
maybe he means because the other he's Muslim and he wants to convert. Maybe that's what he's talking about. And usually it's the other way around.
I just need to finish my thoughts because no, when you say it's Muslim, okay, no, again, the other usually it's the other way around. The other way, this way around, that way around. Love jihad is not a thing in India. It's a made-up conspiracy. Okay, so if you're saying it isn't love jihad, there's nothing that is love jihad. So that's that. And then the rest of the sentence is saying it's pretty much an unconstitutional law, right, guys? When you have something, yes, that thankfully, India is a secular state. Yes, so yet we don't know if it's going to remain like that for long, but yet the thing is that just because a lot of people assume that just because something is against the Constitution, it's kind of like a computer program that you try to pass a law that is unconstitutional and would just automatically the Constitution would just like stop it and it just won't go through. Or like, well, who cares? This is a law. Well, it's against the Constitution. Even in the United States, where laws are supposedly work more efficiently, and things get, when you have a law that is like anti-women's rights, it's discriminatory, that constitutionally shouldn't be there, it could take sometimes up to decades for it to all of us to be challenged, be brought to the state courts, and then up to the Supreme Courts, and then eventually be compared to the Constitution, and even if it's just a year or two, like sometimes it's even longer. The amount of discrimination and headache, and for you to be able to finally take it to the Supreme Court to show that this is unconstitutional and it shouldn't be a law, the amount of discrimination and the precedent and the excuses for harassment that it causes just until it actually gets challenged by the Supreme Court, the amount of misery that it causes is huge. And just because the process is very slow and very expensive for it to eventually become for it to be proven unconstitutional, it's easier to make a whole bunch of other new laws while you're struggling to get this one removed because it's unconstitutional. So just like when you say something is unconstitutional, that's not de facto, okay, so this is not a problem. You could have years of discrimination with unconstitutional laws in many countries, secular countries, like United States and India. So if you could do this in the United States, what do you think there's a hope for? Anyways, Susanna, you had your hands up. You want to say something?
Oh, I was gonna highlight. Oh yeah, Shupam is saying Indian government should focus on underage grooming rather than following this hoax. It's disgraceful. And the thing is with anti-conversion, in the case of real cases that happen in Pakistan, where 1,000 girls are kidnapped and forcibly married and converted, aka raped, there are laws in India that protect against those crimes, right? Those are already on the books. So this is just extra government interference.
Okay, secular Proton saying, no, come on, that's not fair criticism. He knows that it's just words. Secular Proton, I how many times do we have to go this? Even if that's when I highlight a comment and I make use it as a way to bring up some points, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm criticizing the comment. I think we've gone over this like a million times already. And John is saying, Armin, isn't love jihad the conversion by marriage or seduction of one faith by another? John, I mean, we went over this like a million times already. Yeah, and that doesn't happen. Like, do you really think that happens? Okay, so like that, it's not like, even when the actual cases that are kidnapping that happen, it's not for like in Pakistan or like the seduction. It's not for the sake of Islam. It's not like people are trying to spread Islam. They have their own intentions, sometimes evil, sometimes not. And then, but they're not doing it for the sake of Islam. So the love jihad is not a like conversion by marriage or seduction. Love jihad is this conspiracy that Muslims are trying to spread Islam, either by kidnapping Hindu women or seducing them to marrying them, and then surprising them with like, oops, now you have to become Muslim. That is not a thing. That is just a love jihad is just a conspiracy used as a way to do do anti-Muslim discrimination and to pass laws like this banning interfaith wedding. I mean, we've gone over this many, many times here, so I don't even know why you guys are asking this. Katie saying this law is also proof of how things can change when you let the government interfere too much, and there is just the banning. And this is just the banning. Hindutva wants the entire constitution to be replaced. Susanna, you had your hands up?
Can we move on to the next news, because I have a splitting headache right now.
Okay, cool.
And I'm trying to make it through this episode.
Okay, next news.
Okay, next news. Paris imam who denounced terrorism now in hiding in Paris, France. So for those who don't know, we use the word terrorism for a certain boom boom because we have to obey the YouTube gods and the algorithm. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look on the screen and there's the word. So a moderate imam has been driven into hiding after receiving a deluge of death threats due to advocating religious tolerance and denouncing Islamist terrorism in France. Despite being placed under police protection and accompanied by six armed police officers at all times, Hassan Chalgoumi says he has put his house up for sale and plans to move his family to a Gulf state. He says that he has never spent more than 2 nights in the same place due to the likelihood of an attack. French newspapers reported that concern for Mr. Chalgoumi's safety accelerated after a Belgian Islamist promised to pay 150,000 euros to anyone who paid him. Imam Chalgoumi has been a controversial figure in France for some time. The most recent barrage of threats began after his comments calling the beheaded civics teacher Samuel Paty a martyr for free speech. So I wanted to highlight this story this week because we've been following Mr. Chalgoumi. We've been following what's been going on with him, particularly when he first made his statement that got a lot of international attention, where he was condemning basically the support for the killing of Samuel Paty. He notably called him a martyr for free speech, or a martyr for free expression, who was doing his job of educating French children about the values of the Republic. And he even went so far as to tell other imams to pray for Samuel Paty in their Juma prayers, and highlighted and emphasized that imams and French Muslim parents should not, I'm paraphrasing, foster a hatred of the Republic in their children. He's known for being a moderate imam, or a bit of a reformist imam. He said that Islamism should be banned in France, and this recent incident with Samuel Paty and his way of condemning this terrorist act was not the first time that he's caught a lot of heat. It's been ongoing for a couple of years, but now it has reached the point where he now has to live in hiding for denouncing this violence.
I was
Rivka?
just going to mention, yeah. So this has escalated to the point where his family has had to move to an unknown Gulf state, and he is eventually says he's going to go. And he doesn't want to. And apparently, the family is even, living under an assumed name, supposedly, because it's this encrypted message by extremism calling for his K-ing is out on Telegram all over the world, so it's everywhere. So they have to live under assumed names. But this guy has had this history of not just being reformist minded or progressive or liberal minded, but he's also very in terms of France, he wants to reach across to different faiths, to different groups. He lives in this area of France that has this history of persecution, in particular during the bad times that in World War II with the N people. Persecuted a lot of.
You need to explain to people because some people don't know we're using coded language.
We have to use coded language because of the YouTube. So the Axis powers,
right,
during World War II, persecuted 63,000 Jews were in an internment camp in this particular city in Drancy. So he met with these leaders. He visited the camp, and he also went, and I think he went to the actual site where the camp had been, all kinds of things. When that happened, he went to the memorial and he kind of prayed. His house got vandalized. He came out against, he back banning the full cover, the burqa. He held talks with rabbis and other members of the Jewish community because of all the attacks on the Jewish community in France. His houses get vandalized. He's attacked. He's insulted on social media. I mean, in 2015, he was placed under police protection. So it just keeps escalating and escalating. And now at this point, they're threatening his life. So much so that he has to leave the country. And I think it's just really shameful. And it goes back to the discussion we had at the beginning of the news about calling this out and disavowing it. But instead, we're seeing this mass amount of people who are happy to call for this man's execution, and he's forced to leave this country. He has to live in hiding. It's shameful. It's reprehensible. And I really feel for him and his family.
They put a bounty on his head.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of when we were first talking about his comments of calling Samuel Paty a martyr for free speech. Armin, you can give me what you originally said, but your comment was basically like people like him are more valuable than like 1,000 atheists or secularist activists, because he's speaking out against these types of pressure.
Yeah, I basically said I prefer a Muslim that is supporting secularism, free speech, democracy, due process. A Muslim, even though I disagree with them on Islam, and even though if they think that is their views is compatible with Islam, it's not. Even if they think that, and I think they're wrong about that, I take a Muslim that is defend those values. I consider that person to be on my side more than any atheist that goes and says like, oh, just kill them all, or like I said the word I shouldn't say, but like, oh, just like, oh, don't let these people, like all of them are bad, or like generalizes or thinks that Muslims shouldn't have a right to speak, or every single mosque should be closed. An atheist that doesn't believe in Enlightenment values and is actually actively fighting against them, I consider that atheist more of an ideological enemy of mine than a Muslim that is on the side of free speech and secularism. They are on my side. That Muslim is more on my side. Yeah.
Do you have anything?
I remember when, I'm sorry, but I was going to say, I remember when Armin was mentioning this, we were also talking about what a hero he was, because remember I said on the back of that it's also the fact that this courage of this man is so amazing and so much to be admired, because based on all this history of what happened to him, he knew this was going to happen and he did it anyways, which means he has the courage of his convictions, which means that he is a mensch. He's a true person of conviction and of ethics, because he knew this was going to happen and he did it anyways. And that's someone who has a lot of courage and deserves a lot of respect, in my opinion.
Right. We don't have to agree with people to celebrate them as heroes. We could still be like, yeah, you believe in Islam and that's moronic, but you're a hero regardless. I do want to go through the next news really quick because Susanna has a headache. So let's keep the commentary a bit shorter for the next three. Next news.
Oh, thank you for caring about me. Next news is no clapping whatsoever. Next news. Sexual sadist priest abused boy and locked him in church crypt. Father Joseph Quigley, who held various prestigious roles, such as National Education Advisor for Roman Catholic schools in the United Kingdom, sexually and physically abused a boy while he was a parish priest in Warwickshire. The priest, described as a quote-unquote sexual sadist, rubbed the teenager's inner thigh after making him wear a gym outfit, take showers with the door open, and inflicted sadomasochistic punishments, for example, locking him in the church's crypt. He additionally beat the boy with a hurling stick at St. Charles Borromeo Church in Hampton-on-the-Hill. He was later forced to resign from the priesthood in disgrace. He denied all charges against him, including sexual activity with a child, sexual assault, false imprisonment, and cruelty. The jury at Warwick Crown Court took less than 4 hours to find him guilty of all charges by majority verdict of 11-1.
All right, I mean, this is obvious, horrible, and all that. So I'm not gonna repeat that because that's such a brave take. Oh, you're against abusing children? Wow. Instead, I'll comment on the people that think that I'm not going to highlight them now because we're moving through this one a little bit faster. But there are comments of people encouraging him being executed or tortured. I'm just going to say, like, no. I denounce all of those comments. This person should just go to jail. Anybody that is in favor of capital punishment, again, especially the people who say like, "Oh, I don't like capital punishment, but there are some rare cases." No, I mean, if there are rare cases that you support capital punishment, then you support capital punishment. You think, well, okay. And also, if anybody endorses torture against anybody, no matter how bad their crime was, then you're also evil. Torture. Or any like castration, all that stuff. Anybody who endorses that, even against the vilest human beings, you're also barbaric. I mean, it's a good thing those things are not a standard because they would be applied to your disgusting views as well. Anyways, that was my entire commentary. Unless Rivka wants to say something. Rivka's good. Wow. Okay, let's go to the next news. Can we clap for this one?
Yeah.
Oh, next news.
Next news. France launches checks on dozens of mosques. The French authorities have launched investigations into dozens of mosques suspected of links to Islamist extremism. French Interior Minister Gerard Darmanin announced the crackdown, saying some could be closed if found to be encouraging quote-unquote separatism. Mr. Darmanin said there would be special surveillance for 76 mosques, 16 in the Paris region. He ordered immediate action concerning 18 mosques. In a tweet, he called it a, quote, massive and unprecedented action to combat separatism, end quote. State inspectors will examine their financing, their imams' international connections, and investigate Quranic schools for children. Darmanin stressed that, quote, nearly all Muslims in France respect the laws of the Republic and are hurt by radicalization, end quote.
So just quickly want to say that if you endorse this or reject this right away based on the nature of the news, then either way you're right or you're wrong. Okay. Like if you say like, this is great, I love this, go Macron, and you don't even check if it was how, like, if this is not a red flag for you, or like, okay, is this like, are these Muslims' rights being infringed on? Are they being harassed in a way? If that's not a red flag for you, then you are on the wrong side. Because but also from the other side, if you don't look into this, maybe if you think, oh, this is Islamophobia, this is like violations of people's freedom of expression, and you haven't checked to see maybe it was done correctly, either way you're wrong. Okay, the only way to know whether or not this is being done properly, or whether anyone's rights being violated, or whether this is okay, this is a good measure against Islamic extremism in France, is to actually go look at the cases. Susanna, you had your hands up.
Yeah, so I don't know much about, I have a very limited understanding of Mr. Who's the inspector minister, Gerard Darmanin's background. I have seen some statements from him that made me a little bit skeptical about some of his positions on this, maybe, but I liked some of the things that were highlighted in this article that he said. So, for example, the 76 mosques that are getting checks or extra surveillance on them are only a fraction of the mosques in France. There are roughly 2,600 Muslim places of worship in France. And so Mr. Darmanin said that fact showed that, quote, we are far from a situation of widespread radicalizations among Muslims in France. And then that's when he said, nearly all Muslims in France respect the laws of the Republic and are hurt by that radicalization. So I really like the fact that he highlighted that. So he's like, because the last news that we'll cover, a lot of people are going to be criticizing the French government for quote unquote Islamophobia, basically.
Yeah, I think
appropriately, we should all be concerned about the rights of Muslims being infringed upon, given the nature of the events that have happened in France recently. And so it's not wrong to ask questions. It's not wrong to be skeptical. But again, as Armin highlighted, we need to wait to see how these are implemented.
Right.
But it's it's okay. It's important to demonstrate that they are trying to be they are being careful about the way that they talk about it, and they're highlighting continually that this is a minority of the places of worship in France.
I just want to stress, when I say it, to me it seems like France government is doing all of these all of the reactions they have had and all the measures they're taking. It seems like most of them are good. Okay, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have red flags and be careful, and like, because when you see government coming in and closing down mosque or anything else, you should be like, okay, this could be too much government interference. This could be turning into thought policing or having a police state or violating people's freedom of expression. It should be a red flag. And just because you're planting a red flag, that doesn't mean you're saying they're doing something wrong. It seems to, but you should be concerned, and you shouldn't dogmatically endorse everything that is anti-Islamic. Just because you hate Islam, just like we hate Islam, that doesn't mean we're going to endorse everything dogmatically. We're going to make sure that we keep a watchful eye and make sure that we do not endorse any violations of people's rights. Rivka wanted to go next.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that it remains to be seen how this is going to play out. Remember, this is just the very beginning. They just did this. We're not sure. Everything I've read, I haven't seen exactly what is going to happen next. And they're just, so they're taking these steps and they're moving quickly, but at the same time, I think they're being reticent to act unilaterally. They're saying, with every step, look, this isn't everybody. They're making sure that they're not broad brushing everybody. So I feel like you're correct. We just have to be paying attention, see what's happening when charges are brought. If charges are brought, then what's the next step? And how is that going to happen? And then what are the lawyers saying in court? And then, were people unjustly accused? Were people thrown in jail for just happened to be walking by when they, there's all these things that are going to start happening once these things are implemented in a larger basis. And so I think it's important to look at it in the big picture. But I also think that France absolutely, is within their rights as a nation to do something to stop people from murdering their citizens in the street. They have an obligation to do something. And I think that so far, without, there's a potential slippery slope. We don't know, but so far it seems like they're at least attempting to say and do the right things. And I would like to see more people in Europe and in the Anglo world at least support the intention, if not how it's played out, because we're not 100% sure yet. And I'm not sure France is 100% sure yet of how it's going to go down.
All right.
Yeah, there were some really trash comments on this, on our Facebook post about this. Just insanity.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Yeah. Well, guys, we usually highlight them, but right now we need to go to the next news. Susanna?
Last news.
Last news.
Whoops. Okay. So this is related. Wait, we can clap for this one. You're muted.
Next news.
Last news. French government unveils new law tackling Islamist extremism. In France, French President Emmanuel Macron recently secured his cabinet's approval for a draft law targeting quote-unquote radical Islamism, a move some critics fear will stigmatize France's Muslim community. The law was originally titled the Anti-Separatism Bill, a term Macron has used to refer to radical Islamists attempting to withdraw from mainstream society. Following criticism, it is now called, quote, a draft law to strengthen Republican values, end quote. Those Republican values being primarily secularism and freedom of expression. The legislation would make it easier to stop mosques from receiving foreign financing and offer protection to moderate community leaders who are endangered by extremists. It also proposes stricter criteria for authorizing homeschooling, fines or jail time for doctors who perform virginity tests on girls, banning the issuing of permanent residency papers to polygamous applicants, and also requires City Hall officials to interview couples separately prior to their wedding to make sure that they are not forced into marriage.
These all sound really good. Okay. So again, I tell you, when the laws like this are passed, you have to have a red flag. You have to be like, okay, this seems like too much government intervention. It doesn't mean that there is, but you have to be concerned. You shouldn't be like, oh, this is anti-Islam, so I like it. You have to be concerned for people's rights, and you look at it and you investigate. The examples that you gave me all seem reasonable. Okay, so just because I'm concerned, and when I'm telling you that you guys shouldn't just endorse France and Macron and like dogmatically, that doesn't mean that I'm against what they're doing, because the more I look into it, the more I seem to see that the measures being taken are reasonable. The measures that are taken are reasonable. Only a few I've seen that are like, I don't know about that, right? But the vast majority of them are very, very good. So, but I don't say that because I dogmatically approve of anything that is just anti-Islamic. But Rivka, what do you think? What are your views on these laws?
I absolutely agree with you. They seem to me absolutely reasonable. And a lot of them, so for example, like interviewing potential husbands and wives separately, a lot of times, particularly like in immigration situations, that's already done. So that's, at least in the United States, you have someone who's marrying someone from another country. They already interview them separately to see, is this a real marriage? Are they really marrying for papers? Is it coerced? Are they being paid? All kinds of things. So that's not something that other countries don't do. That's not out of the norm. I also don't think that that is in any way coercive or potentially violating their rights. If they feel like they don't want to be interviewed by a woman, doesn't want to be interviewed by a man, I'm certain they could have a female interviewer. Those to me seem very reasonable steps that they can take to not only protect other citizens, to make sure that secularism and the values of the republic are intact and are being, taken seriously. Our people are adhering to those, but also these protect those other potential people who may not even value some of the Enlightenment principles of France. But the nation has a responsibility to protect them as well. So women who may be forced into marriages, whether they agree with the secular values of France, the nation of France is stating categorically that they want to protect these women. They want to protect women who are subject to virginity tests. They want to protect children from being radicalized. Those are all things that they're offering, that they are saying that they want to do for French citizens. Not just because they don't like Islamism, okay? But because they're offering the values and the protection of secularism to all their citizens.
All right, really quickly. By the way, if we had more time, I would have gone through each one of these and tell you how good they are. But we could do that maybe.
No, give your commentary. I want to hear it.
No, I just quickly want to say that I
want to hear it.
Let me finish. Okay. I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. All right.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay. So what I want to say is that the way what I notice about all of these is how different they would have been from an anti-Muslim bigot far-right government. Like the nature of these measures seem to be very much in protecting certain secular and secular values and women rights, and it would have been so different. Like it's not like a Muslim ban and anti-immigration or anti, like it just seems so much more in protecting values that actually makes France a better country for French Muslims as well, right? And the fact that these measures are so aggressive and yet so non-bigoted, it helps Muslims in an indirect way as well, because if some right-wing French citizens feel like this is very aggressive at the way they like, they might this liberal government is going to steal a lot of votes from far right parties, because a lot of these right-wing people might feel like, well, we have a lot more hope for Macron getting these things done than any of these parties, and reducing the power of these far-right parties because Macron is stealing their vote is going to make France a better place for Muslims to live as well. So a lot of Muslims, I think, if they knew what was best for them, they would have been encouraging these measures because they're not bigoted and because they're reducing the chances of any far-right bigot party to come in power. But yeah, I really like them. I mean, especially I really like when Macron in that interview with Al Jazeera was so clear, any standards, any values that want to treat women as second class, not here, not in France. He said, not in France, not gonna happen, right? And that was so powerful, and that was so beautiful. And it's very clear that they can't make it more obvious how aggressively anti non-secular values they are, and yet how clearly non-bigoted these measures are. I mean, if this works, it's going to become it can become a model for other countries that want to do this right, especially because Macron's government is a liberal government, not a far right one. It's going to give a green light to other countries for other liberal governments to copy, unlike Hungary and Poland, other far right governments. So we can do this better than them the right way. Okay, Rivka, and then we go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely think that, as I was saying, that this, from what you can see here, this is offering protection to Muslims of France as well. And that's what I think is so important about this legislation, and that has to really be highlighted. And we have to keep saying that this is offering the protection and the rights afforded to citizens of a secular republic, regardless of your religious beliefs, regardless of your identity, whatever. The nation of France is offering these protections to its citizens because it values human rights and it values secularism. And that's what these laws are saying. And that's what Macron was saying. And he very eloquently said it. Yes, he talked about the Enlightenment. He talked about women's rights. And he, as you said, he's saying, pas chez nous, not in our house, not here. So I really would like to see other countries replicate this. And I also would like to see more people stand with France vocally and loudly support them and support their efforts to really engage with Enlightenment values, support secularism, and protect the citizens of France.
I just want to highlight this one comment. I know this really quickly. This is such a dumb comment. I have to highlight it. Gregory is so dumb. Deport Abrahamic religions back to Arabia. France is, okay, so first of all, Christianity is an Abrahamic religion, and France is like 60% plus 60%, 66%, I think, if this is accurate, Christian. So Gregory wants to deport 66% of France to Arabia for some reason. I don't understand. Gregory, that's, I don't know, guys. Sometimes
actually, Gregory, Abraham was born in Ur, which is in Iraq.
Yeah.
Okay. And then then they came to the Levant. So if you want to move all Abraham religions back to their origin, that'd be Israel. Okay, and it's
Like,
surrounding
duh.
area. So So stop with this Michigas.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just gonna highlight the compliment. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Armin is okay. Now I'm gonna read it.
I just want to say here to everything Rivka just said. Rivka with some on point commentary.
Wait, what about me? Why are you only giving Rivka?
Because you know I always love your commentary.
She knows which side of the bread is buttered.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm trying to get a good word put in for me at the monthly meetings. Oh my gosh, but guys, the artist just sent us the newest version of the art.
No way. Really?
And so Armin and I need to go prepare it to release to our patrons.
This
so
is our
want to see this art. I think this might be the final. It looks so good. Like, I think this might be the final. So
guys, me and Susanna, every time we receive the email from our artist, this is our favorite time of the, like, we message each other like,
yeah.
She's like, oh, we got the email, and I was like, oh, this is like, oh yeah, I saw, and we can't wait to get on the computer and look at it with each other
and show it to you guys,
and show it to you guys and prepare it for you guys. Our favorite part, my favorite part of the day is when we get the email from the artist, and me and Susanna start like getting on the computer and start commenting on it and like go over it. And we're so like we are like harassing our artists. Or like every time, every day when it's not here. Like, Susanna, did you receive an email? Like, no, you like, when is it coming? We're like messaging her. Like, we're like, where is it? We want it so bad. Like. every day we're looking. We've been so spoiled by our artists, and we're so grateful for her to have her. Anyway, so we have to go now. We have to go, guys. If you're a patron, the art is coming soon. The uncensored version of it, we're gonna prepare it and send it to our this probably the final draft. Yes. We're gonna send it to our patrons. The censored version of it, we're gonna post it on Facebook, on Twitter, and on our community tab coming right up. Okay, so look out for that, and tomorrow we will maybe show it on the live stream with the rest of you guys, and we're gonna review it together. Cool. Anything else, guys, before we go?
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Yes, happy Hanukkah. Yeah, I think
and nous sommes avec la France.
Susanna is frozen. Okay, it's okay. Susanna is frozen. All right, yes, and that what Rivka said. Okay, cool.
We stand with France.
We stand with France. Okay, guys, bye. See you guys soon.